Hello there, photographers. It's Ben from TAFE, and we're pretty lucky because we get to do a video with the legendary Mark Jesser, former student and current Fairfax photographer. And after a little bit of convincing, Mark's agreed to sit down and show you his entire Lightroom catalogue from just one day of shooting. I think it was Wednesday week ago. How many shots did you make on this day, Mark?
756 frames were put through the Nikon camera.
Oh, lovely. So what, between 9 and 6 that day? Or something like that?
Yeah, between 9 and 6 roughly. I would have had to get it all done by.
Nice one. So the aim of this video is I want you guys to, and girls, and folks, to hear about what you can and can't do ethically when you're shooting for a newspaper. So often when you're shooting commercially or artistically, you can go and do whatever you like to your photos. But when you're shooting commercially and all of a sudden that commercial client says, can you flick a few of these photos to me early so I can then send them to the newspaper, there's a whole different range of ethics you've got to consider too. And Mark's the expert at that, so I thought it'd be better to ask. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, gee, what an introduction.
Cheers,
Yeah, so started my day. Just trying to look to see if there was a time there.
I don't know. There's a date.
Here we go. 10 something. So yeah, started my day about 10 o'clock. I reckon I would have started work, and first job was like a school shooting tournament thing where the kids get an excursion for them to go out and shoot. So basically just shot a heap of different shots of kids with guns. Nothing overly riveting.
Well, I mean, there'll be a few things you have to consider there. Obviously, where to stand, probably pretty important on that job.
Yeah, so first thing when you get there is you normally would go and find some dude in a fluoro vest that looks important and looks like he runs the show. Because if you stand in the wrong spot, you'll be shot, and they won't invite you out there again. So, so basically, I'll just show you the selection, what I made from all that. So these were the final shots that were done. So just a bit of cropping. I'll show you the originals. So we use Lightroom, nice and quick, nothing too fancy with these. Trying to play it a bit safe, play it ethical, I guess.
Well, and so I mean, Lightroom, good for basic global adjustments.
Yeah.
And I mean, Photoshop's obviously got a lot of functionality. Like you can do anything from swapping faces to changing backgrounds to all those sorts of things. Very hard, if not impossible, to do that in Lightroom. And that's how does that weigh up with you? Do you feel like you're missing out?
Well, originally I used Photoshop a fair bit, like at my past two papers, and I was really of the opinion you had to have Photoshop. But nowadays I don't really use it that much, and even when I'm doing stuff privately, I'll go between Lightroom and Photoshop depending on what I need to do. Yeah, so I don't know, for what I do on a daily basis, if you shoot it right, like we only shoot JPEGs, so there's no RAW. So if you shoot it right and you understand what JPEG you're going to get from your camera, if you shoot it a certain way, then you don't really need a lot. So this shot here, chose this one just because the dude in the fluoro looks like he's looking at something that's been fired in the air that the kid's aiming at. So this is the raw JPEG that's come out of the camera. I like to give the photo normally about a contrast of about 19. Just pops the blacks a bit. No real. I just like a bit more oomph in the photo.
It helps when you're printing on.
Oh, and toilet paper.
Newsprint.
Yeah.
Sort of the consistency of.
Yeah. Toilet paper. Having a bit of contrast is good. It helps the picture print a bit more nicer, rather than sort of be a quite washed out sort of picture in the paper, I reckon, anyway. So a bit of contrast. On this shot, I've done a bit of highlights. Just because, I can't flash them. They're outside. I'm just trying to work where the sun is and try and get them and blah blah without being shot. So it's just shooting it as it is. You can't do a lot to it.
Firing a huge bright beam of flash light at them would potentially be risky when they're holding a gun.
Yeah, and you're gonna be told to get nicked.
Right. So let's see the after.
So that's the after.
Yeah.
Basically, the contrast, bit of clarity. I'm sort of liking the clarity in Lightroom. Just sort of makes things. It's almost like a contrast, really, but just seems to sharpen a bit too. And then I've used a gradient over this side of the picture, the left hand side on the guy's fluoro, just to try and darken him a bit, because he was a bit bright on his back, and I think I'm probably looking at a shot. Oh, no, I didn't this time. I thought I might have put a bit of a vignette on it just to bring the attention to the middle, but I haven't. So really, highlights, clarity, contrast, and a gradient, and job done.
Cool. Total time spent on a photo?
Less than 2 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Next shot would be very similar.
Yeah.
So this is the before, this is the after. I don't even think I've actually touched that at all. Yeah, so I've done nothing.
Cool.
Pretty standard. This one, so this is the before, a bit flat. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that on the video, but a bit flat. Sun's sort of coming straight into their faces, which is quite cool. So just watching the highlights a bit, I've taken that down a bit. But then I've also upped the exposure a bit too. So that would probably be just because I shot it a bit darker, trying to make sure I didn't lose the highlights a bit. And the detail there, a bit of contrast, and this is the after. So not a big difference, hardly. You can see it in his jumper in the shadows.
So this was the first job.
Yeah.
What was the second job?
So this is not overly riveting, but
that's part of the job, man.
Yeah, it is.
You gotta everything. You shoot it all in different kinds of lighting,
Yeah, and this one's one where you can't control.
Yeah.
So you just run with it, You just do your best. Let's go to job number 2. So yeah, all similar stuff for that.
So while you're scrolling through there, briefly tell me, rule of thumb ethics for providing photos to a newspaper.
If you've taken a photo and you've got to be able to essentially go back to that scene and be able to create the picture again if the same people were there. And you can't take stuff out, you can't add stuff, you can't.
So manipulation,
cloning. No, well, yeah. If you clone out a street light that's there, and that if I went down to the same spot tomorrow and there was no street light there, I'd be I'd be wanting to know what's going on. Have they shot it with a different lens? Have they got higher? Have they got lower? Why can't I see this street light? And that could be a street light, or it could be.
That's any element in the photo.
Yeah.
So, spot on someone's nose.
Nose, rubbish bins. Could be. Yeah.
So all those things that as which is becoming often second nature for a photographer to just kind of chop out and lop off with Photoshop.
Yeah.
Conceal. They're things you're trying to. If you're going to minimise them in your scene, you're doing it with your camera.
Yeah, you're trying to be smart in what's actually included in your frame, and not trying to take it out later. Like
hide the bin behind your subject. Use a long lens to blur away that messy background.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's times where in the corner of your shot there might be a branch, or there might be a, you've really got to think smart and try and, well, not smart. You got to try and think, well, I can't really edit that photo out. I can't really edit that branch out of the corner of the photo.
Well, it's just you want to be able to trust the news.
Yeah.
Cool. What's your second job? I'm mindful we're punching through with time.
Second job of the day. So I'm doing portraits of each Indi candidate.
So this is for the 2016 federal election.
Yep. So this is one of the Indi. This is the Liberal candidate for Indi, Sophie Mirabella. So we've been doing some cool stuff in the studio with them.
And this looks totally,
So this is very controlled.
Yeah.
This is if anything goes wrong, it's my fault. Because should have full control. So essentially, that's the shots. I'll go to the selection so you can have a look at the selection.
Great. And again, you're pushing to get it right in camera, so you've just got a couple of basic adjustments.
Yeah. So from that shoot, I've selected 4 shots.
Wow.
Not a lot of time with her. They're very important. They're very But I sort of like this. We're probably never gonna use it in the newspaper, and I like something about her nose and her
pretty strong silhouette.
Yeah, a bit of a weird and wacky silhouette with all the little dots and stuff. But yeah, I like them, so I kept them.
I mean, they might come up in 10 years' time when there's a story. It could be you just never know when a mysterious-looking photo of a politician
could come in handy.
Totally. It's worth keeping.
Exactly. So the final shots were these 2. So we'll go and have a look at the. God, it looks good on your computer, doesn't it?
Oh, it looks good anyway, man.
So this is the before shot.
Yep.
So this is out of camera. Settings were 250. Would have been around f11. ISO was at, I think it was low 0.3 or whatever that is on the Nikon. So it'd be about ISO
80, I think.
Oh, you've got it on there. ISO 80. So there you go. I was thinking off the top of my head. Oh, there you go. F11.
Oh, yeah, pretty
125. Yeah, so that's the before shot. And that's the after. So what have I done? I've essentially
opened the shadows a tiny bit, I reckon.
Yep. I pumped the shadows a bit. Contrast again around 12, 19, depending on how the photo's lit. Bit of clarity, and then what I've done, hopefully, yes I have, is I've sort of used the vignette tool to give her a bit of a darken on the corners, and the only reason I've done that's maybe semi-dodgy, but the corners are already dark. They are I've hung a black background in there, and the timbers painted black and rah. But I just wanted to make it a little bit more richer black.
Yeah. No,
So I haven't changed anything. I haven't like
meaning's not altered, and
No.
I'd argue that. I mean, it was explained to me once that if you could pull it off in camera or in the dark room,
yeah, and it's okay.
that's fine. So
Yeah.
one way to look at that is you burned the edges of the frame.
Yep. And same situation, pretty much same. Oh, except for I haven't pumped the shadows. And I think that's because, if I remember right, this is the later shot. So she originally didn't like as much darkness on that side of the face.
Okay.
So I've then gone in this shot. I've actually got the white board, but instead of so there's the main light on her left, and then there's a fill board on her right.
Yeah.
In the first shot,
We're
it's
talking
just
camera left and fill from camera right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first shot was just fill board, bounce. The second shot is actually got a speed light really low against the whiteboard.
Oh.
Give her a bit more of more than just a bounce, just a bit more power from just lighting up that right hand side of the face.
Yeah, cool, effective, subtle, nice,
and done.
Thank you.
So next job of the day.
I must remember to keep an eye on the. Does it show me the time the time you shot? I think that'd be really cool to watch too. It'll tell us down in the metadata.
So that was that shot. Now, nothing overly riveting with these next pics. There was a car parked on the side of the road for about a week, and I was getting a bit annoyed, to be honest, coming to work. So I decided to snap it and try and inquire with Victoria Police to find out what was going on. This is one I've shot. They're pretty boring, so I won't show you them all. But so this was the before shot. So the car's a bit, it's black, but it's a bit dark on that side. Yeah. So what I've done is I've essentially just I've done a bit of clarity, a bit of contrast, and then I've used the essentially dodged this part, the front part of the car, and a bit of the grass. Yeah. Just to lift it a tad, to help it out. So that was that job. Well, that wasn't really a job. I just shot that one.
So what are we up to in the day? We're at lunchtime.
Next one was a dude who, vision impaired guy who is not happy about the 2G network being shut off, Telstra's 2G network.
You almost didn't have to explain that to me.
Right.
He's holding the phone. He's looking very disgruntled, and he's got sort of like the vision assist.
That's a good point.
Stick. So
that's one photographer.
Newspapers love. Oh, that's cool. The newspapers love stating the story. With as many visual elements as possible.
Yeah. So sorry, I probably shouldn't have even. But
that is a cool little reflection there.
So playing with curtains and coloured blanket that he had on or rug that he had on his bed, just trying to do something different. Mucked around a bit, then we went outside, and then I've sort of stuck the phone in the corner. So I'll show you this shot because it's quite. I think it's cool, but hello. Why is there no edit on that?
Might be taking a second to load, or maybe it's straight out of camera.
Golly, that's straight out of camera. Okay. There's no before and after because I haven't touched it. Okay, so maybe what I will do to it.
Okay,
maybe let's do an edit. Right. So settings are ISO 200, 24 millimeters, f10 at 1/60th a second. Okay, so normally do my little contrast. Just punches those blacks a bit. He's pretty damn well lit. So I don't feel like I need to do anything to that. I'm a bit iffy about this this power pole in the corner of the photo.
Yeah. You can't clone it out.
No, I know. But look, if it was a job you were doing that was like not for a newspaper,
yep,
totally get rid of it.
Yep.
But or if I was smart, I should have lifted the phone a bit higher.
That would cut down your workflow, bring it a bit closer to the camera.
Yeah, but I had minutes because I had another job to go to. But
yep.
So yeah, I'd probably try and just see if we can do a crop. Oh. So I'm losing some of his head if I was to try and crop that out. See, I don't want to crop it tight and then just have this weird looking stick thing hanging out top of the phone.
Okay.
I'd rather let it be known that it is
fair enough.
A power pole.
Yeah.
So I'd probably do my little vignette just to burn like the corners of the picture in, just to bring the attention in on the dude. Yep. I'll use the selection tool, nice and soft. Just to lift the phone a bit. So that I like about this is you can sort of, I suppose it's like layers. You can bring the intensity back down or whatever.
So you use an adjustment brush.
Yeah. Just to lift the phone a tad, just to help out black on newsprint. Help it out a bit, would be great. That's pretty much all I need to do to that.
Cool.
It's pretty sharp. It's well lit.
Awesome.
I don't think that's that's a dust spot. So
talk to me about dust spots. You can't clone off a pimple.
No.
But a dust spot is something that's been introduced to the scene by your camera, or what?
Yeah. So it sits on the sensor.
Yeah.
And when you shoot it like f10, it's going to be more obvious than if you're at like f4. So there's times where I'll take it out. So I think this says on his face there's a little thing there. You wouldn't take that out.
No, that's him.
That's him. Yeah. And if you were to go and shoot him tomorrow, that'd still be there.
Yeah.
Unless he's had it removed himself.
Right.
So you can't take it out.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, well, it's not true. It's
cool.
Not real.
So what did you do after that?
After this job?
Yeah.
Well, there was a helicopter flying around. Another job that I was about to walk into. So I shot the chopper thinking that it might have been something riveting, but it's just them doing some aerial photos, I believe.
Yep.
So next job was with a cafe. So I was looking at
where. Look at that. The time of day they sent you, it is perfectly backlit.
It's perfectly awful at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thank you, reporter.
Thank you, guys. So yeah, this is the shots. So this is a chef. He went and picked his own mushrooms out the back of Myrtleford, which is sort of 40-something an hour away from here. So I'll go through the selection there. Very cool. Where are we? What number did I use? 4. So each job I give it a different number.
Ah, okay. Right, yeah.
And then I can sort of then.
What happens if you do more than 5 jobs in a day?
Then you start giving them colours or flags. So you don't want any more than 5 to 6 jobs in a day, because otherwise, A, everything's rushed, and B, you got no more numbers and flags to sort your pictures with. So lit very well. That's not me being confident. That's just like
it's very well illuminated.
It's very well illuminated.
Yeah,
the guy stands out on a really terrible afternoon. Well, not terrible.
Well,
I
imagine the shots where the flash didn't fire.
Yeah, I'll show you one of them.
Almost a silhouette.
Oh yeah, I'll show you. Pull out one that's hasn't been.
Man, time is flying. We're at about 23 minutes.
Oh, sorry, Benny. Speed it up a bit if you.
No, I was just.
So that's sort of it. That.
Wow. Okay.
That's sort of natural light, sort of.
I thought he would have been more under than that, but that's really nice.
Well, he sort of side lit a fair bit.
Well, and I suppose that surface of the ground, the ground is quite reflective too.
Yeah, and there's another shipping container, to like camera right.
Well, should light would have been bouncing around.
Yeah, off the shipping container a bit.
Yeah, okay.
But if I'll show you this.
I mean, the flash definitely crisps it up.
But if you were to shoot him there, he would be silhouetted.
Yes. Okay. Agreed.
Yeah. So he's like, look at how thick those shadows are.
Yeah.
So I've been strategic to place the light where I placed it, but that's not the point. So the edit is. So that's the two final shots of him.
Awesome. Yep.
And a couple of those, but I'll show you what I've done to them, which is not a lot. So this is the before shot.
Yeah.
The after shot.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So
a little bit of punch.
I've literally given it contrast.
That's it. Outstanding.
That is it.
Okay, cool. So that would have.
So what? Maybe let's talk about what I could have done to it. Well, if this wasn't for a newspaper,
all your work's been done by your exposure and then filling it, with a nice light.
Yeah, but maybe what I could have done if this wasn't for a newspaper. That'd be interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
you're gonna unlearn everything we've just learned.
Well, yeah.
Okay, cool. Go
well, I'm just thinking like, okay, so this is true to the scene. So
absolutely,
if you were to get a guy standing on a crate in front of his restaurant with a heap of mushrooms, bam, this is what you're going to get at that location at that time of day.
Agreed.
Right?
Yep.
Except for maybe a couple of things that are like his oil that might be moved off his bench or a couple of tables in the background. It's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would like to do to this photo
okay,
so I'm going to clean the sky, make sure there's no dust spots because there's a few floating that I haven't picked up in the very quick edit in the car. I would probably maybe even take out these downlights. Probably clean up in here a bit. Just sort of take a few things out so it's a bit cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even take out the little latch to secure the thing. That's all fine. Now, this pavement irritates me. Really irritates me. So these little like oil spots or like leaves or whatever that is, I would take all that out. I would start cleaning these up so they were very clean. Yeah. Even this gum, get rid of it.
Yeah.
That thing, get rid of it. There's another one
So
here. Get rid of it.
If you're not shooting for the bottom out, you're shooting for
it could
cafe.
Be, yep. Could be for his website. It could be it could be for some sort of advertising magazine where you don't have to 100% be ethical. I'd do all that. I'd probably also maybe try and do something with this.
Oh, it's sort of very rustic baskets.
Yeah, really rustic, but if a graphic artist wanted to cut that out for some reason, you wouldn't appreciate that there. He might take it out himself.
Yeah.
But if we can help him out a bit, he'd love us. Yeah. So that's the shot there. Before, after. The dust spot up here, you can see spotting up here. If I move my mouse up here, this dust spot there, it's gone. So a couple of pics of some mushrooms. Now I think one of these is edited a bit. I think.
All right.
You good?
Yeah.
So actually, Well, it's saying it's not edited, but I have edited those. I know that.
Huh.
Let's move on to the last job of the day,
Alright.
I think. Last job of the day.
Last job of the day.
Okay, so. Last job of the day. Oh. No, that's a lie. There was another job in there. Actually, this is probably a good one. Oh, man. Sorry, Benny. It's going for a while.
It's okay. My recording just stopped on my audio. Now I've just restarted again, so hopefully I didn't miss too much.
No, I was just mumbling.
So
So, yeah, next
flows into the next file, didn't it?
next job was some farmers for the land in Sydney. Paper.
Yep. Okay. Shooting for another Fairfax publication.
Yep. Same rules, same everything.
Okay.
Here's probably a good example where we were talking before about editing.
Yep.
So that's Flash hasn't fired.
Yep.
Flash has fired.
Yeah. Right. Could
I save that? Possibly. If I was to nuke the exposure, you could be like, oh yeah, I can like that.
Or
and then
punch the shadows.
Yeah, you could do it that way. You could punch the crap out of the shadows.
This is for all these about natural light only kind of folks.
Yeah, and the 50% desaturated type of guys, they'd love this. So
I mean,
it's possible.
You do see it a lot.
It's a look.
Yeah,
but it's not a newspaper look.
Okay.
You would not give that to a newspaper.
Fair enough.
After you've just desaturated by 18%, taken colour out of it, made it quite reasonably flat. And it probably
it's
wouldn't.
going to print on paper that is so far from white. It's not funny.
Yeah, if this was a wall print or for online, yeah, hell yeah.
Let's be honest. Newsprint isn't white. It's a pretty substantial shade of grey.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So I'd just lift their faces a tad if I was going to actually use this shot. And by lifting his face, I probably should lift his arm a bit, maybe.
A lot of people forget the arm. I don't think you got to do it a bit.
You got to do it a bit.
I reckon glowing face and a really.
No, I reckon I've probably cooked his arm there though.
Probably.
So maybe go a new brush. And make it more like 29.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the face was about 7 something, and we've just done roughly 29, 7 something. Yeah, so it was about 70 on his face, 29 on his arm. So that it's passable, but I don't have time to keep doing that to every photo.
Okay.
So I'd rather go with ones that are lit well.
Yep.
So
I mean, you can see the ones you've lit well. Post-production on them.
Yeah,
pretty minimal.
Yeah.
When you've got how many photos do you?
Well, this was more than normal because they wanted so many options.
Yeah. But on a typical day, like if you spend 8.5 hours on the clock for the newspaper,
yep.
How much of that time is spent in front of your computer? Editing, filing, captioning.
Tops for the whole day, probably no more than an hour and a half.
Yeah. So something's got to give.
Yeah, and look, if you can...
And that does play into the ethics. You're not allowed to do much. That's kind of good because you don't have time to do much.
No. And if you were dicking around too much doing editing, you should be out shooting some more. Money-wise, they want to get more out of you.
Cool. So one more job, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an impressive selection of pics. Look at those cow ones.
Look at this one.
So, that's cool.
So I'll show you the before.
Yeah, please.
So before,
yeah,
it's passable. It would work.
Yeah.
After,
a bit of warmth and boom.
Boom. So I've lifted the cow, lifted them slightly, lifted the grass slightly, and then I've just darkened the sky a tad and just made it a bit more punchy. So the information's there, I've contrasted it by 10. I've done the highlights just to help the white behind them, sort of around their bums, just bring that back a bit. Shadows a bit, and then I would have used a selection brush
Cool.
to lift the cow in the grass.
I like it.
Last job of the day. I won't show you all the shots, I'll just show you the selection.
Come on, mate.
So, Boxer.
You had a very eclectic day.
Yeah, I have. Met a lot of people. This, and animals.
This is why you don't make tutorials after 11 p.m.
At night.
It gets silly.
Yeah, it gets a bit animals. So yeah, basically this job was just come up with a couple of different portraits of the chick. Here they are.
Fair. All right. So.
Okay, you ready for the before?
Yeah.
Before.
So show me again.
After.
Oh, okay. Yes, I got it.
Before.
So that highlights
After.
a little bit more contrast or highlight.
So I've just lifted the left hand side of the photo.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That's about it.
Yeah.
So punched the shadows a bit of clarity, bit of contrast, standard, and use the it would. I'm just trying. I wish I could tell you exactly. I don't think it's a gradient. I think it's a brush. Yeah, it's a brush. Sorry.
Okay. You're right, mate.
So there's that. Yeah. So that part of the image has been lifted.
Cool.
So or dodged, as you guys would like to.
Well, yeah. You can use the dodge tool in Photoshop. You can do adjustment brush in Lightroom, Camera Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that shot.
If you're going to do it in the darkroom, you probably dodge it.
Yeah, dodge it. Yeah. That's the right words. I like lift. It's a bit of like a muscly weight boxing term.
It's appropriate.
It's an appropriate term.
So again,
same sort of thing, just lifted the. I don't know, like I could have darkened the corners, but I'd rather because there's so much black.
Yeah,
lift
black
it a bit.
can print pretty
Awful.
Yeah.
It's good for online, but before, after, all I've done is a bit of contrast, and I've I'll tell you exactly.
Given the
Ding.
Right.
Contrast, clarity.
Lovely.
Done.
Yep.
It's a bit boring. I don't really do much.
Well, yeah, you don't have time, and you do it with your lighting, I think.
So, not a lot on this. I've darkened the corners.
Yeah.
Just to bring the focus on her.
Yeah, that works.
I haven't taken out this line that's over here on the left-hand side of the frame. There's some sort of like thing on the wall.
Yep.
I could take it out. I haven't taken it out because it was there.
Yep.
There are what looks to be some dust spots on these ball things, maybe, or that might actually be on the. Oh no, that's on the ball. So yeah, I don't know. It's annoying me a little bit, but I haven't taken it out.
Fair enough.
Last shot of the day.
Whoa, that's cool.
So yeah, a bit of an overhead. So there's a lens correction there. If you can see this is the before.
Yeah.
This is the after. There's a slight lens correction made.
I can see the vignette, but
yeah.
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah.
See, it's
if you look at the blue,
Yep.
it gets incrementally closer to the edge with the correction.
Yeah.
So,
So that's just, I don't know. When I got back to the computer, I was like, this looks a bit distorted. So I tried the correction. And yeah, I don't know. I like it. That's no drama. There's some spots on these mats. Again, I haven't taken them out because that's what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's my day.
Mark, thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Thank you for talking about the ethics. I think that's pretty valuable stuff. So if you can't do it in camera, if you can't do it in the darkroom, if it's beyond sort of just the basic adjustments panel,
Yep.
um,
Shouldn't be done.
probably it shouldn't be done in for media, and you don't want to become or you don't want to put a photo out there via the media that can sort of come under scrutiny because of something that's accepted in 90% of the rest of the photography world.
Yeah.
You just want to be aware of that because
just get yourself into trouble.
and it's really worth knowing, particularly as more and more newspapers look for user-generated content.
Yeah, and companies are getting photographers to shoot pictures for them to then be pushed to the media.
Yeah.
And you've got to be a bit careful about what you supply and making sure that it's still following the photojournalistic sort of rules, so that when it hits the newspaper, they publish it and keeps your client happy. So the client are like, cool, no dramas. Newspaper's taking it.
And you can totally wear two hats too, can't you?
Oh yeah, for sure. You could do one that you know is going to be sent to the media, and then you could do one that's going to be used, in that business's website or newsletter or something like that. So there's definitely
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if my mic's picking up my cat that's decided to start me on.
Saying it's bedtime,
Time
you
for a
two.
midnight snack. All right, Mark. Thank you for your time.
No worries, Benny.
Cheers, mate. How you on?